Part 4. Concentrate while delivering your speech. Tell me a person who cannot concentrate, and I will show you a person who lacks inner strength and willpower. You must have had experience with kids and their penchant for lacking concentration. Would you want to commit to something of value to a kid? Would you want to commit something which has value to a kid? Let me ask you that one more time. Of course not. Serious things are not meant to be committed in the hands of children. If you are of this opinion, then it follows that you won't see reasons to commit something as valuable as your time and resources to listening to a speaker who lacks concentration in his delivery and falters as a result. But then you might ask, what could be the reasons for a speaker losing concentration while being on the podium? So many public speakers fall into the trap of overthinking and overstepping their natural mental pace. They think of the succeeding sentence while still uttering the former. This always has the effect of meddling with their concentration and affecting their sentences. When a speech is properly written and prepared, the emphatic word usually comes at one's end of the sentence. However, an emphatic word needs an emphatic expression, but a loss of concentration robs the emphatic word of this expression. You must always concentrate on your mental energy on the present sentence. Your audience follows your mind as you speak. Your both minds are married at that moment, and their minds are at the mercy of yours. While this marriage lasts, do not divorce your mind from the minds of your audience. So, coming back to the story of this young boy, how this reflect that there was a time when this young boy made a mistake that has taught him an invaluable lesson on the need to concentrate. This happened when he was still back in his home country long before he left for his journey. He was at his mother's fish stall one day when a client came by. A fine woman she was, tall and broad-hipped as they come. The woman had a child strapped onto her back. She haggled with this boy over the price of fish, and because while they were at it, this boy was thinking about how to convince her to buy more fish for the sake of her child and other mouths she most likely would have at home. He mistakenly offered her the price of 2 fishes for 1 fish, but while she fetched for the money in the folds of her wrapper, this boy realized that he had made a mistake. If he accepted the money, he would have lost the client. If ever the woman found out that his price was higher, then she would go somewhere else. He was faced with the option of telling her that he had made a mistake and would have to convince her to take more fish for the amount that she was willing to give him, and thus make more sales. That is why it is extremely important to be concentrate. Part 5. Force. I know this word invokes conflicting thought in your mind, but I would like to begin this part with first making us recognize the clear distinction between forces of opposing natures, inner and outer force. The one is the cause and the other is the effect. One is spiritual and the other physical. In this order, animate force differs from inanimate force. The true source of power in man lies within himself. While bearing this in mind, we should not make the mistake of confusing mere physical force with human force. They are entirely different in their essence. Allow me to give an instance in the context of public speaking. Loudness is not force, even though force at times may be attended by noise. Even though a big noise of a voice, power, might prove effective in some cases during a speech, yet mere roaring has never made a good speech. Force is both a cause and an effect. Inner force, which must precede outer force, is a combination of 4 elements acting in a progressive manner. Firstly, force arises from conviction. You must be convinced of the truth of the importance or meaning of what you are about to say before you can render a forceful delivery of it. It must lay strong hold upon your conviction before it can grip your audience. Your audience can detect your conviction and the extent of it. It easily shows in your delivery. Winston Churchill and Frank Roosevelt, prowess in public speaking, owe their success to forceful delivery. No matter what is at hand, these men had a way of making themselves believe for the moment that one thing was the most important thing on earth. Hence, they conveyed this conviction in the manner in which they addressed their audiences on the matter. Whoever speaks in that manner is certain of success. Every one of our great leaders know and employ this, and it is to this attitude that they owe their successes and reputation in spurring men onto beliefs and actions. Let us take a closer look at the origins of inner force. How does conviction affect the man who feels it? Conviction produces emotional tension. Moral and physical force are alike in being both preceded and accompanied by a tightening of the cords of power. It is this tautness of the bowstring, this knotting of the muscles, this contraction before the spring that makes an audience feel the reserve power in the speaker. In some really wonderful way, it is more what a speaker does not say and do that reveals the dynamo within. Anything may come from such stored up force once it is let loose, and that keeps an audience alert, hanging on the lips of a speaker for this next word. After all, it is all a question of manhood, for a stuffed doll has neither convictions nor emotional tension. If you are upholstered with sawdust, keep off the platform, for your own speech will puncture you. Growing out of this conviction tension comes resolve to make the audience share that conviction tension. Purpose is the backbone of force. Without it, speech is flaccid. It may glitter, but it is the sparkle of the spineless jellyfish. You must hold fast to your resolve if you will hold fast to your audience. Finally, all this conviction, tension, purpose is lifeless and useless unless it results in propulsion. Your resolve should be alive within you to propel you towards action that can be discerned and felt by your audience. And now, that leads us to a very important question. Can that force be acquired or is inherent? The answer is yes. Force can be acquired. If the person in question has any of the capabilities we have just outlined, how to acquire this vital force is now suggested through this very analysis. Live with your subject until we are convinced of its importance. If your message does not arouse you to tension and pull yourself together, then it is not entirely worth it. And chances are that you may lack the conviction to communicate enthusiasm to your audience. The man within is the final factor. Everything lies in his hand to master as he wills. In other words, everything lies in your hand to master your speech as you will. It matters little how well a speaker has mastered poise, the pause, the modulation, and the tempo in your speech. If a speech lacks fire, it is dead, and a dead speech will not move anybody. So what happened in the life of this boy that reflect this part 5 that we just spoke about? After spending 9 years abroad, this boy decided that it was time for him to see more of the world. Now abroad, by abroad I mean that he spent time in one country. So he wanted to go and experience other places. So he bade farewell to the stable life he had established in that African country. His well-paying enough job, his apartment, his car. When his friends inquired as to why he wanted to leave that dream life behind for the unknown, he told them that he was convinced within himself that what awaited him outside of his comfort zone was bigger than what he had already knew and felt. And so he left. It was to Asia. He went to Indonesia precisely. In Indonesia, it was a different culture from what he had come to know in Africa. Everything was different, but already he had learned to cope and adjust to new environments and cultures. In Indonesia, he met a lot of young and eager creatives, and he noticed that he had so much of his experiences to share with them. He started his life coaching and public speaking business, teaching his convictions and experiences in very practical and very powerful ways. The cultural shock he felt upon arriving in Asia was enough to make him take the next flight back to where he came from, had his resolve not been strong. And because of this, he plowed on and gained more experience that made his life better off for it. So it was with this force that he was able to decide to get out of his comfort zone and started building his career as a speaker and a coach, and indeed impacting people with his word. So force